Hello and welcome to the first day of Casino Beat Summit. We are live on the conference room floor. If you can't hear, it is buzzing. It's quite loud. It might be a bit too loud, Craig. What do you think?
Who cares?
It's been quite a busy morning for all of us actually. But Craig, you've been incredibly busy. In fact, before we get onto that, I've not even introduced Danny yet. Danny Lee, hello. You okay?
Yes, I am here, James. Thank you for acknowledging my existence.
Oh. I didn't really want to, but, you know, here we are. But no, we've all had quite busy mornings, and I think it's been John Romero filled, let's say that. It's been a good start to the morning. And, Craig, you've had pretty much back-to-back panel sessions.
Not pretty much.
Pretty much.
Actual back-to-back panel sessions.
Yeah, so, and Danny, you've had a panel session this morning as well. So the first half of the podcast, we're going to talk about your panel sessions, you know, what was talked about, what they were about, who was on them. And then in the second half, we're just going to talk about what we're looking forward to this week. So we'll start with the keynote. It was John Romero, like I've just mentioned, the godfather of video game development. He's the father of first-person shooters. He's a hero of mine because I'm a gaming geek, and it was an absolute pleasure to meet him. He was on stage to give his keynote. It was quite fascinating, actually, to be honest. Craig, were you in the room at the time, or were you preparing for your panel?
I saw the last 10 to 15 minutes.
I think you saw the most interesting parts of the keynote, because obviously the first part was just introducing who he was, his career, and I didn't realise he developed 90 games before he even touched Doom, which was mind-blowing to me. But
it's quite refreshing hearing the thoughts of someone whose expertise are out of online casino, saying what the industry could potentially do, and then obviously prefixing everything by saying, "I don't know if you could. I don't know if this is legal."
But it's like it is, like you said, it is refreshing to hear different insights, and some of the stuff he was suggesting. I'm like, that's actually not a bad idea.
I personally liked the slots games. If you could develop a slots game with a bit of a narrative, and you could use like your rewards card or membership card at a land-based casino, and you can just pick up your progress from where it was. I mean, I presume we're all video game fans around here, and as an RPG fan personally, that like progressing a story would be amazing.
I think I've always talked about when I was on Slot Beats, Danny, I used to speak about like narrative slots and why aren't we seeing so many of them, and it used to be a case of people were saying, oh, we just financially it's not viable, blah blah blah. But what Romero just suggested there is actually quite financially viable, and it's a really nice way to retain the players, not just like obtain them.
Well, yeah, the video game industry is like one of the biggest in the world. It makes so much more money than the film industry. If you look at some of the stats, it's quite ridiculous how a game that comes out on Steam can make so much more money in its opening weekend than, like, say, I think the biggest blockbusters
of the year
as
well. Yeah, which was something he spoke about with the Spider-Man example. Spider-Man games take a hell of a lot more to make than the actual films. How is that a thing?
But I mean, if you played Spider-Man 2, it's a fantastic game.
It's still a mind-boggling thing to hear when you're talking about a game and an actual film and all the everything that comes with that.
Yeah, I loved how he went on to also talk about the sound effects and soundtracks in slot games as well, because it was something, again, Craig, when we was on Casino Beats and Slot Beats, we really pushed to kind of bring attention to the sound and the scores in slots, because they're imperative, and the video game world really do it well. And Romero said, like, just find these inspirations, because these songs, these hooks, this is what keeps people coming back. A lot of slot machines, they have the musical play when you play a spin, but then it'll stop because it wants you to keep playing and playing and spinning. But he's like, get that kind of soundtrack, get that hook, and that'll keep them playing that way, and then you can then advance and unlock new songs as well, like some games like Guitar Heroes would do. Like, that's kind of
some providers do it well online.
Yeah,
I've not got a great experience playing slots in casino, but some do it better than others online. I don't want to name names because I don't want to annoy people. Hacksaw, they do it quite well.
Hacksaw are fantastic with music. Yeah, fantastic with music. But I mean, like, I think I mentioned it in a previous podcast before when I was in Miami for SBC Summit Latino America. I played the Willy Wonka slot in the Seminole Hard Rock Casino.
I remember it well.
I was hooked because the music is amazing. It just like sucked me in. And then as soon as like the features went, it was like oompa loompa doopa dee doo. I was like, I've got a feature coming for me. It was fantastic.
True story.
It's a true story.
Unfortunately.
There's the Squid Game slot machine was really good for that as well, making it much more of like a multi-dimensional experience with the sound and the sort of physical feeling you get from the game as well.
I got a little bit lost in that slot when it came out, I'm not going to lie. I played it a lot.
But we can talk more about Romero's keynote, but I know there's going to be a write-up on Casino Beats, Danny. I think
it's already out.
It's already out. Perfect. So I'll put a link in the description for that. Go read it, go find out more about what Romero said, and there probably will be a video at some point in the near future for people to see the full keynote. We're not fully moving on from Romero because he's still going to be part of this next part. But Craig, you had a panel session, like we said, the first one, tomorrow's Jackpot, the future trends of slot design, with Romero and other guests. Who were the other guests on it?
Oh, I knew you was going to do this to me.
I mean, I've got it right in front of me, but I'm still going to ask you.
You can read it then. I've done 2 back-to-back. I'm struggling to separate them.
So you had Brett Archer, the director of games at Bally's, and Shelley Hanna, the CPO at Relax Gaming. Tell us about the panel session. What was discussed? What were the key takeaways for you as a moderator?
Again, just to quickly reiterate what I said earlier, like to have someone with expertise outside to bring something completely different to the conversation was great. We picked up on a couple of little things that he was saying. We went into all sorts of different areas. Started on AI, which again was nice to hear John's input and come in with that, but all 3 panellists were great. We started with AI. We floated into jackpots for quite a lot of the time. We wanted to speak about jackpots quite a bit, so we're speaking about different versions of jackpots, like your more content agnostic versus more like in-house customized solutions and what they could bring, which was quite nice. Is bigger always better? The obvious joke was said, not by me. I'll blame Shelley for that one. But just because looking at like the market and advertising practices, like it's always the big slots, isn't it? But was looking at kind of like how obtainable are they? And it was interesting hearing panelists say, like from their own experiences, if they had a slot that was millions, for example, on the jackpot, or they had one what was 100,000, you could go for the lower one. It feels more achievable. Obviously, spoke about video gaming quite a bit with John on the panel and what can we learn, and kind of looking at one interesting aspect for me to listen to as just an interested observer at this point was, I think the question I posed was something along the lines of, given the kind of powerful systems from like a console gaming kind of perspective, given the powerful systems needed to actually make these games playable, is it just unachievable to look at what video game functionalities we can bring functionality-wise? Obviously, we spoke about storylines and how you can adapt narratives. So that was quite interesting. But it was a really good panel. It probably could have still been going on now, in all honesty. They had some really good audience questions as well.
So Romero did mention about technological advancements and how that's kind of overshadowed and overcome the video game design element of the game, of making a video game now. So it's not all on designing the best looking video game, it's the technology behind it. So you have like the Unreal Engine 5 for video games, you've got these RTX like 4000 series graphics cards which create mind-boggling things, and you're never going to get that in a slot. But we can still look at what the video game sector are doing with their technology and look at kind of compacting it and putting it into maybe a cabinet in a casino or an online slot. Well, I think online is probably going to be easier, but you're still never going to get them graphical overhauls.
I think it's come at quite a sort of crucial time in the industry to have someone like John Romero, such a big player in the video game world, to be speaking at a casino-based event, because suppliers, like you say, they're constantly trying to find a way to make the games more engaging, and a way to do that is sort of bringing social elements in, which we see a lot in video games with multiplayer titles, and whether just having a chat room in RPG, something like that. We're now starting to see sort of chat rooms come into games. I know it's not really slots, but you see these sort of crash games and even like some just sort of instant games like Dice or Mine, tower games, stuff like that. You're seeing a lot more social interaction, so they're definitely striving towards that engagement that you can see so much more in the video game side of things.
And not just important to have him here. What's actually quite nice is when I come off my second panel an hour later, he's still stood in the corridor outside speaking to people.
I gotta admit, his outfit today is sparkling.
We got a question posed, which we didn't actually get to, which started to the cool guy in the white shirt.
Right. I was going to jump on your other panel, Craig, but we're already kind of running a bit out of time, and we've not heard from Danny's panel yet. So, just for the listeners out there, Craig was on a panel, Building an Innovation Giant, Merge, Create, Dominate. You can find out more on Casino Beats when they do a write-up of it.
When? You've thrown them under the bus there.
Yeah, you're going to have to do it now. But Danny, you were also on a panel this morning, moderating again. What was on?
Yeah, so we were looking at HR, specifically the developing technologies within HR and how sort of, obviously, automated services are such a huge part of like every section within every industry, not just ours. And yeah, it was a really interesting conversation. Obviously, it's not my specialist subject, so it sort of educated me more than anyone, if anything. And learning about how, AI is playing like quite a crucial part in the way that the employee experience is being improved within companies, whether that's the way they're recruiting the right employees or dealing with employees' mental health or just any sort of queries or questions that they have. So yeah, it was very interesting. It's obviously a part of our new company culture track that we've got at the Casino Beats Summit for the first time this year. I think it's quite an important thing to shine a light on. Obviously, there's so many people in our industry that's all they work in, whether it's relationships or working in HR, people officers, all of that good stuff. And we had 4 sort of HR leads from different operators, Rhino Entertainment, Roots, Hit Gaming and Video Slots. And yeah, just sort of interesting to see how that is playing such a huge part, how the rise in AI is being seen in HR at the moment.
Oh yeah, perfect.
AI is going to be a massive talking point during these 2 days.
It really is, isn't it? I feel like even before the conference started, like I was talking to a few people at the pre-reg party last night, and the amount of people talking about AI was just ridiculous.
Ditto with people moderating panels. We was having a conversation, me, Danny, and 2 or 3 others last night, and we was all like, what are you speaking about? And each one of us said AI. There's one of the talking points, so I was like, well, my panel first, so I'll get in before any of you.
As much as I love talking about AI, but at the same time, because I've talked about it so much, I'm a bit like, oh, where can we go with this? But then I did some searching on podcast AIs, and there was a little club, people might know it, Manchester United, did their own...
Littles, right?
Yeah, that's my Liverpool fan, alright, okay. In fact, 2 Liverpool fans. Where was I going with it? AI. They created their own AI podcast news thing, and it was atrocious. It was like, Manchester United have finished the season in 8th place. And I'm like...
What was worse, the podcast or United's actual performance in the season?
They're quite close. Oh, perfect. Right, we're going to take a quick ad break, and then when we go back, we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to at this event now, because we're only on day 1. There's still tomorrow to go, and there's still this afternoon as well, because we are recording this about, nearly 12:30, 1:45 local time. So yeah, we're quick ad break, and we'll talk about what we're up to next. Welcome back. So, Craig, we'll start with you. You've had a busy day moderating. Anything else on the agenda for tomorrow for moderating, or can you actually go and enjoy the event?
Not moderating tomorrow. Few meetings for the rest of today. I'm so jam-packed today. Tomorrow is still a bit of an open book. There's a couple of meetings in there, but I'm going to use a bit of the time to actually get into some of the panel sessions. I'm not sure what, but like Danny said, for moderating, you'd want to kind of plug little gaps in your knowledge while you're at these events, which is massively important. So I'll use a bit of the time tomorrow as a kind of knowledge growing exercise. Yeah,
I think I want to attend the Navigating the Future Global Gaming Regulations with Andrew Rhodes. I feel like it's going to be an interesting one, just what's going to happen with the UK regulations in casino. I think it's just important to hear from him and kind of see what he thinks the future is going to be. You've also got Aideen Short on there, the advisor to the Minister of Curaçao. I'm really bad, but Curaçao. And yeah, it'll be interesting. And Peter Marcus is moderating as well from Entain. He's a good character. I like Peter Marcus. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Danny, what are you hoping to do tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll attend a couple of panels, hopefully, get some write-ups on site, get some decent content out. Looking at one this evening, actually, on sort of niche games, which obviously, when I'm covering on Slot Beats, that's such a growing part of what we're writing about in a minute.
You're welcome. I wrote that one.
And tomorrow, looking at some tech trends, stuff like that. I'm also quite intrigued by the cryptocurrency side of things at this event, because it's a very big year for cryptocurrency, it feels, at the minute, with Bitcoin reaching all-time highs and the halving event happening. So we should be able to get some decent content for that. And yeah, in between, meet some people, try get some food if the queues are short enough, and yeah.
All right, well, we'll wrap up this podcast, as I'm pretty sure when we started, Craig was kicking off that we arranged to do this at lunch.
Having a strop.
You're still like, I can see the veins in your head now. You are raging. So we'll wrap it up. Danny, Craig, thank you for joining us. The listeners, thank you for joining us on the first day of Casino Beats Summit. I'll be back tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned, and we'll talk more about Casino Beats and maybe some breaking news if there is any. But apart from that, let's get some food. I'm actually hungry now. All right,
let's eat.